the assumption is always, well, they're spending tithe money on clothes. And I can't speak for every single scenario, but there are the exceptions of scenarios where they're getting stuff gifted to them, right? So I know specifically with Pastor Rich in Miami VU Church, he's friends with Jerry Lorenzo, and Jerry Lorenzo is a high fashion guy, and he's a lot of the fear of God stuff, from my understanding, that a Rich wears is given to him by his buddy Jerry Lorenzo, who's one of the biggest names in fashion. I know when we see different churches that have some of the celebrity pastor vibes, it's always interesting, again, to kind of know some of the behind the scenes working. So like, I recently found out that Pastor Rich doesn't take a salary, has never taken a salary, and 36% of their budget goes to the building and the staff, and the rest of it goes right back into the community, into other churches. Right. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, man, praise God. Like, that's really cool. So someone like Pastor Rich, I'm like, dude, like, go nuts. Like, I'm all for you. Like, you know what I mean? And he, like, I think he still drives like a minivan. Like, he still drives like a family minivan. Like, this dude's yeah, he lives a relatively quiet life in the grand scheme of what he could be doing. So I think that's like respect to him. And for VU Church, you know, that I think are doing a good job with stewarding the wealth that they've been given, with stewarding the influence that they've been given. For a church, I don't know if you know much about church budgets and buildings and all that, but for a church to only spend 36% total on their budget and their building, like everything, and then 60%, roughly 60% is going back out, 10% is going out to churches, and the rest is going out to local other charities and, you know, humanitarian groups and all this kind of stuff, I think is like extremely commendable. So I do feel like there's guys that are doing it right. Like, I think they're doing it right, and I think they're leveraging celebrity, leveraging influence, leveraging, dare I say, hype beast culture to really like help people with the hands and feet of Jesus. And this is, I don't know how verified it is, but it's from someone that's close to that organization that just shared this with me recently.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got that sounds good to me. I think all of us could do better at pushing towards making it not about us and making it more about the one we're supposed to be pointing to. So, you know, if your church is doing great stuff like that, show the world, you know, what the body is doing, not what the man is doing. And I think, you know, it brings up all these different kind of nuanced situations where it's like, well, we still got to, you know, how we curate our image matters, and how we present the gospel on social with 1 million followers matters. Even if we're giving a bunch of money away, we still have an impact to people that maybe don't have all the context. And so either give the context or make it less about yourself and make it more about the God you're trying to point people to. And I'm not saying Rich does that good or bad. I'm just saying that we could all push to do that more and more with our own social profiles.
Yeah, and I love that in terms of not being about you, right? And it's something I do as a practical safeguard. As I bring people onto my channel, I bring other pastors on my channel, I bring other YouTube creators on my channel, and I'm always pointing people to other people, so that, because I genuinely don't want to build a cult of personality, nor do I want to be the guy that has all the answers and has the perfect theology and knows everything about it, because I don't. Like,
people see through that.
Yes. People see through that, and I don't think it's helpful. Like, I don't think it's helpful to have one guy that you agree with everything on. You know what I mean? Like, I think you need a diversity of voices that can help you move things further along in your personal life. So here's some questions. So now that the book is out, a lot of folks are asking, what's the purpose of your page now? Right? You kind of blew up on accident, and so now where do you see you going with Preachers and Sneakers?
If we're being real, I don't really want to post about pastoral footwear for the rest of my life. Like, I want to be able to help people ask tough questions and wrestle with some things and hope that they can be more real with each other. And the thing I care most about, I think, other than pointing people to God, is that getting people to be authentic, because anything else we all see through and doesn't serve anybody. And so if I can get people to, by wrestling with some of these questions that maybe are secondary or tertiary issues to some people, if that pushes people to reconsider their own lives and how they can present themselves more authentically and be real about their situation and their finances, and be real about what following God is actually about, following Jesus is actually about, and it's not like a vending machine. That's the most I think I can hope for the account. Like, eventually I would love to not be just like screenshotting freaking StockX listings. I would love to push people to audit their own lives, and then eventually, push for more authenticity in their own churches. So that's kind of a vague answer because
it's not a vague answer. I think that's a good answer. I think that's a really good answer. Authenticity.
And I don't know what that looks like specifically, but that's what I'm pushing towards.
I'll tell you what it looks like. I'll tell you what it looks like for me personally. I think seeing your page has made me reevaluate my relationship with consumerism, and has made me reevaluate how I spend my money and what do I actually find value in, right?
Yeah.
And when I really sat down and thought about it, yeah,
like when you say that, that means a ton to me for you to say that.
Yeah, and it's the truth, because here's how I look at it. Like, when I really think about like what brings value to me, right? And I'm not gonna sit there and say like nice stuff doesn't bring value to me. It does. Like, it does. Having a Tesla someday is gonna bring value to me. Having a paid for home is gonna bring value to me, right? With shoes, what I discovered is I really just said, what do you actually want, Ruslan? Like, what do you actually like, right? Do you really like everything you think you like? And is it about quantity or is it about quality, right? And so having gone down this path of sneaker culture and hypebeast stuff and whatever, I was like, dude, I like a handful of shoes. I like Jordan 14s. I like Yeezy 350s. I think I like 750s, but I'm like you, I don't know if I could pull them off. And I like Jordan 11s, but I don't like the fact that they crease, right?
The patent leather.
So, yeah, patent leather. So I flipped on Go, and I bought stuff from our local clearance store. One, that was good for me to do. And by the way, flipping shoes for anybody that's like trying to find a cool side hustle, if you're in a city with a Nike clearance store or a Nike refurbished store, is a good hustle from a product standpoint, because you start paying attention to detail and understanding why certain shoes are valuable and why certain shoes are not valuable, right? Because when you hold the shoe, you look at it, whole nother conversation, but it's a good side hustle. And I know you flip a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
So I walked through the process, bro. I walked through the process. I built up my GOAT, and then I bought everything I wanted to buy. And I have 4 pairs of Jordan 14s. I have 2 pairs of Yeezys 350s, and I have a pair of Jordan 12s, and I think I'm about to get another pair of Jordan 12s, public school edition. And I have a pair of 11s that I think I'm about to sell because I don't like how they crease, right? Going through that process and getting what I wanted showed me that I actually didn't value it as much as I did. Sometimes getting what you want will reveal to you that it's not really all it's cracked up to be. Like
that's a life lesson right there, bro.
Yeah, and it was like I needed to go through, and thankfully I didn't just go spend whatever it was, $3-4 grand out of my pocket on it, right? I went and hustled and flipped, and it was a learning tool as well. And dude, I legitimately feel liberated from consumerism having gone through that process, right? And so now it's like I don't want no designer clothes for what?
Stuff isn't gonna do that for you now.
Yes, and it's stuff isn't gonna do stuff for you. I know that I'm better off wearing my own merch and building my own thing instead of wearing Gucci or Louis or Nike or whatever.
Wearing an asset, yeah.
Right, yeah. I could invest in my own brand, and shoes is just kind of like, man, it's cool, you know what I mean? But I'd rather be this is gonna sound wild. I'd rather be a minimalistic shoe head and have like the shoes I really love. I really love 350s. I really love 14s. I really love 12s. I might get some 750s, and that's it. And I don't need the latest thing, and I don't need the latest shoe, and I don't have the time to keep up with all the raffles. When I look at what my time generates versus what I flip, it doesn't really make sense for me at this stage in my life. I'm thriving on YouTube, so on and so forth. And so I think that to me is how you've blessed me, and I think you're potentially blessing other people, because do you really need 250 pairs of shoes, right? Unless you're like a legitimate collector and it's their dead stock and you're never rocking them, or you're rocking them on stage, putting them right back in the box. And there's guys, I'm sure the guys that do that. Like I could see Pastor Michael Todd seems like a legitimate sneaker head, like he
He's
in
got
that
them all,
world
yeah.
for real. And so it's like, hey man, you know, respect. But it was good for me to walk through that process. And so I think that's a tangible way that what you do adds value, and I think will liberate folks from consumer. And I don't know if it's gonna do that for the 21-year-old bro. I'm 36.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I still get my son nice shoes. He still has Jordans. He still has. I just got him some Huaraches, right? They're just not like a. It's just not. I rock around in Roshis most of the time. Like I buy Roshis because I like Roshis how they fit.
Yeah, I mean, those are the things I have to hold on to because in the short term, it's easy for people to point to maybe some of the negative stuff that happens around my account, and that makes me feel bad or that makes me feel insecure about it. But hearing people have like, it's hard to argue with that, where it's like, hey, for whatever reason, this topic has forced you to reevaluate some real things in your life that eventually I think you came out better for it. And I think that's grounded in wisdom. I imagine most people, unless you're an actual like bona fide sneakerhead, are going to get to that point where they realize, oh man, having 200 pairs of shoes is actually not really serving me that well. Like not that many people are impressed. It's cool to collect, but eventually you get married and you have kids and it's like, all right, college is coming up. I could really sell these and make a bunch of money. And I find myself, I did an interview with the Minimalists in LA last year. I find myself trying to pursue that more and more, like to at least pursue minimalism a little bit. I think is a good practice to not have stuff rule you, because specifically if you're into sneakers, you cannot have enough sneakers. Like if you're into it and you want to collect sneakers, there is not a point where you stop. Like at the height of when I was into sneakers, every time we went out, we were trying to stop at the Nike outlet or we were trying to stop at the mall and try to find a pickup. And for what? To wear them once? Like I can't even pull off 90% of them. It would be wise for more of us to have that at least thought experiment to say, hey, what stuff is ruling me? Like, do I really, the stuff I'm working towards, is it what I really want? If I'm real with myself, when I actually achieve that, is it going to give me what I think it's going to give me? I think it's all a wise practice to me.
Start with the end in mind. If you want to be into shoes, if you want to be into clothes, whatever, flipping shoes, I would just say start with the end in mind. If you start with the end in mind, I think that's what I had to do. I had to say, stop. What do I actually like? What do I not like? A lot of the stuff I don't even really like. But
who am I trying to impress?
Who am I trying to impress? Right. So I think when you really look at it, it helps. It helps a lot. So
Kingstream Entertainment, Ruslan